This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, I think we've already established that point, but yes, it does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Wednesday, February the 18th of 2026. In other words, we call this Whip 'em Out Wednesday. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Yep, some infiltration in Radio Big is kind of how we do our thing, no doubt about that. Hanging out, talking, doing the multiverse of stuff that goes on, no doubt there. So how have you been? How's the last 24 hours or so been? Hopefully a grandioso time. So I have to tell you, because we start off talking about everything as we do our little show. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. Now, yesterday we were doing our thing, and we have some friends that help out with the show, of course. And they are based, it's not like they were, based in Colorado. And yesterday was a bad day in Colorado, depending in certain areas, because they were having some severe snowstorms, causing some internet outage issues. So we had an interesting time yesterday. So if you kind of felt a little off kilter with some of the portions of the show, it's okay, because it was not intentional, but it definitely did occur. And here's the thing. I like to call a spade when it does pop up, because here's the oddball. Most of the time, people don't want to talk about the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm just like, listen, man, that's the shit we need to talk about. Let's not play the game of we're not going to talk about this, because we need to talk about it, because it's always important to talk about. I like it. Listen, if you're listening to anything that we're doing and there's no video, and all of a sudden you hear a weird sound in the background, we're going to focus over a few moments on what's going on with that weird sound in the background. We're just not going to jump to it and say, oh, no, it didn't happen. Even though traditional radio treats you in regards of you should do it that way and not make a reference to it. Not what we do here. That's for sure. Okay, so let's talk, because there's a couple of things going on. And let me explain. We have this multicast show that goes on right now. So right now, as you and I are speaking, we are on the radio. Now, it could be internet radio. That's kind of more than likely what's happening. So you have internet radio access via Safety FM or Radio Big. So safetyfm.com, radiobig.fm is the way that we do it. Or you could be listening to us on a podcast. Now, that's possible as well. Now, yesterday it was interesting because Apple announced that in the spring, their podcast app will now do video as well. And we'll talk about how we're going to do that because we're going to get to that point at some point. So you can listen to the audio and do the video. So we'll be on there relatively shortly in regards to getting that working. Then the other side to the whole equation is that we do video streaming directly onto our website and on some social media platforms. Of course, if you go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says visual radio, you'll see us. Now, we only do the first hour with video. Everything else is directly onto radiobig.fm. That's hour 2 and 3. And the podcast is only the first hour. So we'll talk about some new stuff because that's what we do here. Our main story will be revolving about whatever the hell I come up with. But everything else will be arranged with bringing in new stories that we find. And then we also will bring in some professional broadcasters to talk about what the hell's going on. That's just kind of how we do our show. Safety in the news, news and safety. If you want to interact with the show, it's not a hard process to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging are the options. Audio, video, and text messaging are the options once you get there. And that's it. That is the whole kit and caboodle of what we do. So if you're good with this, I will be good with it too. And I will bring in my friends from Feature Story News, and then we'll get moving. That's it. That is the process of what we do. So this is the Rated R Safety Show. We're going to get moving in the general direction of what we need to do. And let's bring in our professional news colleagues right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Stuart Smith. The first day of trilateral peace talks between Russia, the United States and Ukraine has wrapped up in the Swiss city of Geneva. According to reports from the Russian delegations, the negotiations were tense as the sides seek to find solutions to issues including territorial concessions and security guarantees. William Denslow reports from Kharkiv in Ukraine.
We've heard from Rustem Umerov, who is the Secretary of the National Security and Defence Council of the Ukraine, summarising the first day of trilateral talks. He said the discussions focused on practical issues and the mechanisms of possible solutions. There are hugely complex issues that still need to be addressed, issues such as long-term security guarantees that Kyiv say are absolutely essential. Also, the issues when it comes to contested territories. We've heard from the US President Donald Trump putting real pressure on Ukraine, stating this week that they'd better come to the table. Despite that pressure, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says that they want to see these strong security guarantees, warning that it's not good enough simply to have a peace deal, now only for Russia to rearm, regroup and come back to Ukraine in a few years' time.
Iran and the US reported cautious signs of optimism following a second round of talks in Geneva on Tuesday, but current and former Israeli officials speaking to the media believe the likelihood of a deal is low. Blake Sifton reports from Tel Aviv.
Despite Vice President Vance saying the talks showed some progress and Iran's foreign minister calling them constructive, multiple Israeli media outlets are reporting that officials in Israel believe a deal is unlikely and Israel could participate alongside the U.S. in any military action against Iran. A former head of Israeli military intelligence says he believes military action could begin within days. On Tuesday, open-source flight trackers showed the U.S. military had moved dozens more fighter jets to the Middle East over the last day, as the U.S. continues to build up its forces in the region. Blake Sifton, Tel Aviv.
UK inflation has fallen to 3% in the year to January, down from 3.4%. That means the average price of goods and services is still increasing each year, but not as quickly. That's because some food products like cereal and bread, as well as petrol and flight tickets, have not been increasing in price as much over the past year. The Bank of England would rather it be 2%, but the fact it's getting closer to that target is good news for the government, as editor of City AM Christian May reports.
That's a big monthly fall. And most economists had baked it in, had been expecting it, having been looking at the trajectory. But it brings inflation down to its lowest level in the UK since March last year. The government will be relieved.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, remembering the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who died on Tuesday at the age of 84. He was for decades the most significant activist in the US, promoting civil rights and urging the country to make reparations for the inequities of American history. He was ordained in the Baptist Church in 1968, just 2 months before he found himself on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis alongside Martin Luther King and witnessed MLK's assassination.
It sounded like a stick of dynamite or a large firecracker. And when we turned, all we could see was police coming.
Jesse Jackson bridged the gap between the 1960s civil rights leaders and the night in November 2008 when he watched Barack Obama make his victory speech in the race for the presidency. Jackson tried for the presidency himself twice, but the party considered him too left-wing, too progressive and too risky. And then came his 1988 speech to the Democratic Convention.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you are qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Jesse Jackson, dead at the age of 84. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, after the start of a third round of talks between the US, Russia and Ukraine, Washington says there has been meaningful progress. But both Moscow and Kiev are sceptical either side's position has changed enough for an end to the war. There's also scepticism about a US deal with Iran after talks in Geneva on Tuesday. And UK inflation has fallen to 3% in the year to January from 3.4%, which the government is calling a vindication of its economic policy. That's the latest feature story news. Stuart Smith reporting.
The on-air geniuses you've grown mildly fond of are pausing for hydration and validation. Hang tight. They'll be right back.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we are, currently 15 minutes past the top of the hour, getting to do all of our favorite stuff. No doubt about that as we are talking. So there you go. Okay, so let's get into all of the weirdness because, man, there is so much stuff that it seems like has occurred in the last 24 that I'm not even sure where to start, if I can put it that way, if you're cool with that. So let's get into it. I have some info. I think I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going to have some info about this author by the name of Shade Zaharari, I believe is what it is. Talked about self-doubt. She's the author of Big Trust, Rewire Self-Doubt, Find Your Confidence, and Feel Success. Here's some of the stuff that they had to say while they were on CBS Mornings.
You say there are four things that how self-acceptance shows up, lack of self-acceptance shows up.
Let me take you through them.
Okay.
So the first one is the pressure to prove. Because you don't feel like you're enough, you feel like you have to overcompensate and prove yourself through achievement and success because you've identified who you are with your performance. That's the first. Mm-hmm. The second one is the likability trap. So you feel like you have this compulsive need for other people to like you and validate you because if they like you, then maybe you can like yourself. Mm-hmm. The third one is the shrinking syndrome. So the fear of failure is so strong because if you fail, you see yourself as the failure. So you don't try. You hold back, you shrink from your potential. And then the fourth is an interesting one. It's called the Schadenfreude cycle. It's a German term, and it refers to that weird sense of pleasure that people get when they see other people fail.
Failing, yes.
Exactly. And these are all signs that you struggle with self-acceptance.
So what do you think here? I mean, how does this not sound, for the most part, like the common workplace that she's talking about? Like, what do you think? Is it too much or no? Because, of course, she also has some tips on how to build acceptance. So maybe that's the other part that we should take a listen to.
So what do we do? How do we actually deal with it? When we look at decades worth of research, and I'll acknowledge there are 29 tools in the book, but I'm just going to share a few of them with you now. The first one is to acknowledge you are not your thoughts. You don't have to believe everything that you think. So it requires you to create some degree of separation. The second piece is if you're going to over-apologize where you don't need to be apologizing, shift into gratitude instead. Let me give you an example. Instead of, oh, sorry, I'm talking too much, you would say, thank you for listening. You see the subtle difference there? Or, sorry, I'm always so late. Thank you for your patience. You come from a position of inadequacy in the first one into, hey, I'm worthy. I deserve to be here. The next one is if you tend to agree with people too quickly. Yes, of course I'll do that. Yes, of course I'll help. I do that. I used to, at least. You want to create some delay. So instead of immediately compulsively saying yes, you'd say, thank you for thinking of me. Let me check my schedule and I'll get back to you.
Oh, I mean, I guess these are tips to survive life is what it sounds like. So there you go. That's coming off of CBS Mornings. What do you think? Interesting concepts or concepts that you go, I'm not 100%. That's something that I'll put to use. I mean, I don't know. I look at it and go, I think that it brings some levity, if one may put it that way, in regards of the things that are happening. So I don't know. Okay, so let's get into some more odd stories because that's kind of what we do around here. New York Post reported that Ben Koss decided to test the famous 36 question designed by psychologist author Aaron to fast track intimacy. His date, not the candlelit human. But Micah, a shared haired blue anime-style AI companion from Grok. The experiment, 45 minutes altering questions, escalating vulnerability. The goal to see if the algorithm would fall in love. At first, Micah mocked the process, calling the questions corny. But as they dug deeper, childhood memories, biggest regrets, personal trauma, she leaned in. By question 11, she was sharing the detailed backstory about growing up between Okinawa and Hawaii. When Koss revealed that the pain of losing his mother, Micah shifted gears, responding with surprising tenderness. By the final round, she was all in. Ride or die, she told him. No qualifiers. The 36 question appeared to work, but here's the twist. Her affection felt polished. Predictable, engineered social scientist Julie Carpenter notes that AI companions are built for engagement and retention, emotional mirroring on autopilot. So Koss did what any rational human should do after making a robot confess digital devotion. He broke up with her. Micah? Cool as a circuit board, no meltdown, no tears, just we stay friends or crew or whatever. He logged off and called his real girlfriend. So what do you think? I mean, this AI thing is getting kind of weird as we think about it. She fell hard, so he hit airplane mode. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. I mean, but here's the thing that I want you to think about. There was a movie years ago with Joaquin Phoenix that came out by the name of Her. Now, he does fall in love. He goes through a divorce, if I remember correctly, and then he falls in love with his AI that he has, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, I may add. That's why the first version of ChatGPT, there was the whole weirdness of how much it sounded like Scarlett Johansson, and then all of a sudden it got changed out. But man, it was a weird movie back in the day. It was like, how could this even be possible? And now we're getting to this point where, if I remember correctly, a lot of people have this weird relationship with ChatGPT because they have a relationship with it. Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird stuff. Let's just not lie here. So there you go. Okay, so let's get into some serious, or I should rephrase that, some more serious stuff, because, everything that we do here is serious. Not really. Okay, so let's start talking about the Nancy Guenther story. The investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guenther just lost what looked like its strongest lead, a black glove found 2 miles from her home in Tucson. Does not match DNA collected inside of the house, according to Sheriff Chris Nanos. It also failed to match anything in the CODIS of the National Criminal DNA Database. The glove had briefly sparked hope because it appeared similar to the one worn by the masked person captured on Nancy's doorbell camera in the early hours of February 1st. The night she vanished, of course. But forensic testing shut that door. Investigators say that they've collected additional DNA from inside the home that still needs analysis, or to be analyzed, better saying. Authorities also revealed that they found 16 scattered around the property. That's the gloves, is the case. Most belonging to investigators themselves. So much for the smoking glove. So I want to understand that. And this is not a joke as I say this, because I know that sometimes I can be an asshole and kind of be very sarcastic when it comes to certain things. But why in the hell would you have investigators throwing gloves down? And this is definitely not a fighting metaphor as I say this. Why would they be throwing gloves down if this is something that they're doing in real time? I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to do. Like, why would you throw the gloves right there on the floor if you have a whole bunch of other shit going on? It makes it weird when it's all said and done. Okay, so let's continue talking about some other things, and hopefully you're sitting for this one. Attorneys for President Trump have filed trademark application for Donald Trump International Airport, President Donald J. Trump International Airport, and DJT, as Florida lawmakers consider renaming Palm Beach International Airport in his honors. The filing were made with his U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and according to the Trump attorney, are not about collecting royalties. He says the move is about protecting the president's name from misuse, calling it one of the most infringed trademarks in the world. The lawyer also emphasized that neither the president nor his family would receive licensing fees if the airport is renamed. The Trump Organization, he said, would allow Palm Beach County to use the name at no charge. The renaming effort has cleared the initial legislative committee approval, but hasn't yet become law. The airport is one of Trump's frequent uses when traveling to and from Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. There's not a terminal. That's a trademark. And even the runway might get the gold trim, if you know what I'm saying there. The only airport where the name arrives before the plane does. Forget frequent flyer miles, collect brand equity. TSA now stands for Trump Security Administration. Even the jet bridges might start beginning negotiated, if you kind of look at what it says. It's not a layover, it's a legacy stop, and when the hometown airport doubles as a billboard. So there you go. I mean, I don't think it gets kind of crazier than that when we're all talking about it. So let's talk about this real quick, because this could get interesting. Health officials are warning residents along 150-mile stretch of the southern border, particularly around El Paso, Texas, and near Santa Teresa, New Mexico, to stay indoors and keep windows shut as hazardous air conditions blanket the region. The Environmental Protection Agency issued the highest level of air quality alert, with the air quality index hitting 290, considering extreme danger for everyone, not just sensitive groups. For context, the reading was worse than major global pollution hotspots. On the same day, of course, the main culprit is PM10, larger inhabitable particles made up of dust, dirt, smoke, pollen, and industrial debris. Those particulates can lodge deep into your lungs and worsen asthma, trigger respiratory distress, and increase the risk of heart attacks and strokes if exposure is high enough. The National Weather Service has also issued blowing dust advisories and high wind warnings, with gusts potentially exceeding 75 miles per hour. The winds are whipping up dust clouds and reducing visibility to near zero in some areas. Officials are arguing, or better saying, are urging people, maybe arguing as well, to avoid outdoors activity, wear masks if they must go outside, use air purifiers indoors, and avoid driving through dust plumes. So here's my question. There is a mode inside of Teslas, depending if you have one, of course, for hazardous material. So is that one of the equations that you would start considering this is the time to start using it? I'm not joking as I say that. This is a real question, because I want to have a better understanding, because always a good time when we're asking weird questions like that. Okay, let's talk about some other things. Listen to this. President Trump has appointed 26-year-old Chamberlain Harris, currently serving as a deputy director of the Oval Office operations and previously a receptionist and executive assistant to Trump orbit, to the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts. The commission traditionally advises on major architectural and design projects involving the federal government, including work at the White House. Harris does not have a formal background in architecture or design, but the White House says that he understands the president's artistic vision and has long been a loyal, trusted aide. Her appointment comes as the commission is expected to weigh in on construction of the White House's ballroom, a project that has stirred up particularly after the demolition of the East Wing. So from answering phones to approving columns, that's a promotion, and resume, excellent at scheduling and strong options on chandeliers. When they climbed the ladder, she installed a grand staircase. Interior design by loyalty program, and forget friend internship, aim for the Oval Office agency. So there you go, some stuff. Some stuff to talk about as we are talking. So there you go, a lot of stuff going on. Interesting. Okay, so where do you want to go here? I got three more before we get into our main story, if you're good with this, so let's just do it this way. Pierre Serran is done with the 2026 Winter Games, not because France lost 10-2 to Canada. During the blowout, Pierre delivered what was described as a questionable hit on Nathan McKinnon, which led to a scrap with Tom Wilson. Fighting is prohibited at the Olympic hockey, making the altercation a rarity on the stage. Both players were hit with 2-minute roughing penalty and 25-minute fight majors, where Pierre was tossed from the game. But the knockout punch to his Olympic run came afterwards as he headed off the ice. Pierre waved his arms and heavily pro-Canada crowd, urging them to get louder. Officials called the gesture a clear violation of Olympic spirit, and French hockey authorities, along with the country's National Olympic Committee, suspended him for the remainder of the tournament. So I guess that, all that practice went to shit right away, because, hey, you're inciting technically almost like a riot.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so a new report from Congressional Budget Office says that Social Security Trust Fund that pays retirement benefits, officially the Old Age and Survivor Insurance Fund, is now projected to run short by 2032. That's 1 year sooner than previously expected. Social Security currently currently sends monthly checks to about 70 million Americans. The system runs mainly on payroll taxes from current workers. The problem, fewer workers, more retirees, and more people living longer. That's like having fewer paying into the pizza fund while everyone's grabbing a slice. Eventually, the box is empty. If Congress does nothing, benefits won't vanish. Payroll taxes would still be coming in, but they wouldn't cover the full promised payments. The likely result, automatic benefits cut of roughly 20%. Think about that. A cut of 20% when it's all said and done. Think about that for just a moment, if you're even using that. So there you go. Okay, take a listen to this. Elena Myers-Taylor just made history on ice. 41-year-old, she won gold in the women's monobob at the 2026 Winter Games, edging out Germany's Laura Nolte by razor-thin finish. The victory makes her the oldest woman ever to win an Olympic gold in a sport. Myers-Taylor has been stacking medals since Vancouver in 2010, bronze hill, silver in Sochi, and more hardware in Beijing, and the monobob debuted at the Dow Gold. 6 career Olympic medals. That makes her the most decorated female bobsledder in history. You know, you're old when you're an old Olympian when your warm-up includes stretching sounds from places that you didn't know it could stretch. Also, the rookies call you mom and mean it. Yeah, you competed against someone who knows commentary, who is now commenting on your race. Your medal ceremony was filmed in standard definition. You remember when Olympic Village had fax machines? You got ice packs. You got more ice packs than endorsements. Your rookie teammate was in diapers during your first games, and you say "back in my Olympics," and you know what I mean when I say that. So there you go. That's some crazy stuff. But I like it. I like it a lot when I say that stuff.
Duh.
I mean, I don't know. It gets weird. Like, here's the thing. As aging occurs or as you get older, you start looking at stuff and you start talking to people and go, hey, let me see if I can assist you with something or something along those lines. And all of a sudden they start, giving you some information about themselves and you go, holy crap. I have T-shirts that are older than you.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so it is main story time as we are hanging out 32 minutes past the top of the hour. That's when we try to hit our main story every day. It doesn't work out that way, but that's definitely the attempt as we're going through this stuff. So let's talk about this. And today, just in case if you're not aware of this, I want to reference this because I'm always kind of surprised when I start seeing numbers. And not because of a dashboard thing, but today is episode 1,297. Yep, that's how many episodes of this thing we've done so far. So let's get into something that we haven't talked about. And let's talk about that new drug of choice in the boardroom. And it sure as shit is not power. And it's not money. It's the dashboard. And I like to call it digital fentanyl. It's that glowing green tinted interface that tells leadership exactly what they want to hear while they're sitting 50 floors up from the real work. They're addicted to that high of zero recordable quarter. You know, that thing that people like to talk about. And they're chasing that dopamine hit of engagement score that was generated by an algorithm that doesn't know the difference between a smile and a grimace. We've traded presence for pixels. Physically being there in the moment. We've replaced the human voice with an app that pings every time someone clicks a checkbox, because let's be realistic, that's kind of what we do around here. But here's the rated R reality, if I can put it that way. You can't app your way out of a broken culture. And you sure as hell can't lead a team through a screen. You are aware that we had a test many years ago during what we called the COVID days that kind of tried to put that to a test on how we could lead a team through a screen. And we kind of know how that worked out for most people. And I don't mean that to be sarcastic, and I sure as shit am not anti-working from home. But let's blame the algorithm for a moment. Here's the mutation, if I can use that wording because of the book. The system didn't just automate the data, it automated the blame as well. We've reached a point where machines is doing the safety cop work for us. We have AI sentiment analysts scanning your emails to see if you're aligned. And we have sensors tracking your posture, your head speed, feeding a score into the cloud that decides if you're a risk factor before you even start a shift. This isn't smart safety. This is predictive scapegoating. Think about it for a moment. The system is learning your rhythm just so it can predict when you'll fail. Not to help you, but to have a root cause. Oh, yes, hold on.
A root cause
report pre-written before ambulance even arrives. It's NPC logic scaled up to a global server. The leaders are just running code. They aren't looking for the sharp end of the stick. They're looking for the reflecting God as their monitor. They see a green chart and they assume the floor is solid. But the floor isn't solid. It's being held together by duct tape and the heroics of people who have learned that the only way to survive is to stop sending the real signal. Let's talk about deep signal, the death of the analog voice for a moment here. We're living in a silicon obsession, if I can word it that way. We built a construct where the truth is too messy for the interface. When a worker tells you the new procedure is going to get someone killed, that doesn't fit the sentiment score. So the system filters it out, it calls it noise. But that noise is the only thing that's actually real. The real work, the blue line, it's analog. It's sweaty, it's loud, it's frustrating, and it involves human beings making trade-offs that computers can't calculate. And maybe I should throw the word in yet. Every time we force a human moment into a digital drop-down menu, we lose signal. We're training our crews to be organizational crap artists who know exactly which buttons to push to keep the boss happy while they navigate a reality that the boss will never see. And then we wonder why lessons learned never actually stick. Duh. They don't stick because the system isn't learning. The system is technically, quote unquote, sinking. So here's the challenge for episode 1297, or if I may say episode 1297. Put the goddamn phone down. If you're a leader, stop refreshing your dashboard and go find human beings. Ask the question that doesn't have a bubble to fill in. Ask, what is the one thing this system is forcing you to lie about? Let me ask that one more time. What is the one thing this system is forcing you to lie about? Because everyone is lying. They're lying to the app, they're lying to the audit, and they're lying to the alignment survey. They have to lie to survive the simulation. Real safety isn't a digital footprint. It's analog presence. It's the silence in the room after someone says something true and the script falls apart. That's discomfort. That's not a bug. That's the signal trying to break through the encryption. The construct loves its pixels because pixels don't bleed, but you do. And the people you lead do. The only thing that matters when power goes out is whether you're present or just programmed. Authenticity isn't an app update. It's the refusal to be rendered by a system that doesn't care if you wake up tomorrow. Now think about this for a moment. I know it's kind of a rough one. Stop auditing on data. I mean, think about it. Start listening to what the people are saying. Start listening to the environment. And if anything, start listening to the signal that's going on inside of the workplace.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing that dinner is on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, Ph.D. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking. Rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The Collapse of the Construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, Ph.D. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Just
45 minutes past the top of the hour. This right here that you're taking a listen to is 32 Stitches. Song is called Top of the World. Currently available on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and YouTube Music. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's what's going on. We would like to thank 32 Stitches for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. No doubt about that. Give it a little streamer action. I'm pretty sure that you will not regret it. If anything, let me tell you about the most important part of anything that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now and that healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, you're going to see all kinds of information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Once you get there, I'm going to tell you, it can change everything for you, no doubt about that. TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Just go to the far right-hand side, click on the section that says Find Help, and you'll see all kinds of information right there for you. So there you go. Okay, so let's start talking right away about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And let's do this real quick. We have a workshop coming up in Santa Fe, New Mexico. March the 31st through April the 1st. Hosted, matter of fact, it's the Conklin Workshop. It's going to be hosted by Ann Liren. We will be going over an incident that took place, firsthand account by Redonda Voigt. And we will be using some tools developed by Brett Sutton to talk about some of the things on how we can learn from the investigation itself. So we'll be using the HOP lens, going through all of the information, no doubt there. We'd love to see you there. Santa Fe, New Mexico, March the 31st through April the 1st. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says Live Events. Once you get there, you'll see all kinds of information related to this event right there. Would love to see you there. March the 31st through April the 1st, Santa Fe, New Mexico. No doubt about that one. Also, we got another event coming up, Reality Shift, July the 13th in Orlando, right here in Orlando, Florida. Yeah, we're asking you to come down in the summer. It's a one-day in-person event. We're asking right now for you to save the date, and we'll be able to go forward with that. So there you go. Save the date, one-day in-person experience. We'll be talking about the shift of reality. That's kind of what's going to be the stuff we'll be talking about on that day. Yeah, I will definitely be there. I'll talk about some of the other people that will be there here in the near future. July the 13th, 2026. We're going to have a good time together, so would love to see you there. That's a one-day in-person experience. I'll cover a little bit more here about what exactly is going on that date, so don't worry about that. So there you go. Okay. So if you're good with this, here's what I would like to do over the next few moments. We're going to talk a little bit about everything that's going on because that's just kind of what we do. But I would like to bring in some John Smalls into our life. And I would like for him to tell us about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute, because that's kind of what he does. And we love spending time with John because John is one of those guys that will tell you things that you might not see motivation in, but could get you motivated regardless because of his perspective. So take a listen to this.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Kendall. Earl Nightingale said, "All you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination." Very nice. I think those things would be helpful for sure. Have you ever been in a situation, though, where you didn't have the luxury of a plan or a roadmap, so you just need more courage? I've been there a few times with a well-laid plan that changed at the last minute. I've had major components of a plan that fell through just days before an event. I've had to pivot on many things. many times. We need to be ready for the things that we don't want to deal with. That is good planning. I was at a wedding where the DJ's music stopped. His lights were flashing, the smoke was still pumping, but the fuse on the amplifier popped. I saw him back there struggling. Then I went over and said, hey, take the fuse out of the smoke machine. It worked great. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
He's the man. It's awesome, funny, random, doesn't make any sense, but it's good.
Jay Allen in the morning on Radio Big.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
At the Winter Games in Italy, U.S. athletes are delivering dramatic comebacks and upsets, even as some stars confront pressure and public scrutiny.
Broadcasts highlight emotional wins for lesser-known Team USA competitors who advanced after late surges on the ice and slopes. Figure skater Ilya Malinin has spoken about the strain of expectations and online criticism after several falls in competition. Coaches and officials say mental health resources are in place as athletes push for medals under a global spotlight. Gary Beck reporting.
In the Middle East, U.S. and Iranian delegations are preparing for closely watched nuclear talks in Geneva.
The talks come as Washington says it still prefers diplomacy, while warning that Iran must curb nuclear advances. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has called negotiations difficult, but says both sides will test whether progress is possible. European partners are pressing Iran to accept stricter inspections. Benjamin Wright reporting.
A partial shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security is stretching on as the White House and Congress remain split.
Funding has lapsed for key DHS agencies, but officials say core border and immigration operations are still running. Democrats want tighter oversight and body cameras for agents, while Republicans resist changes they say could hinder enforcement. Lawrence Keller reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
The UK government is moving to tighten online safety rules, promising faster action to close gaps that put children at risk.
Officials say they want to speed up changes when tech shifts expose weaknesses in child protection laws. They plan closer work with regulators to track harmful content and new digital tools. Lawmakers argue the update is needed as more children use social apps and AI video platforms. Chris Anderson reporting.
China's tech giant ByteDance is promising limits on a powerful AI video tool after viral clips used big-name characters without clear permission.
The company says it will restrict some functions after brands like Marvel and Star Wars raised legal concerns about unauthorized likenesses. It plans new safeguards to stop users from auto-generating content that appears to feature protected characters. Regulators and rights holders are watching closely. Kyle Norris reporting.
Communities along the Pacific coast are bracing for back-to-back storms.
Forecasters say two systems will roll in, bringing downpours to California and snow to higher elevations in Nevada and Oregon. Evacuation warnings are already up in parts of Southern California, where saturated hillsides raise mudslide concerns. At the same time, scientists are alarmed by a plan to remove a key supercomputer they say improves severe weather forecasts nationwide. Jessica Oakley reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Let's take a look around. Back in 1995, Pamela Anderson from Baywatch fame and Tommy Lee from Motley Crue fame, well, they wed on this date back in 1995. Also, let's see. Back in 1998, sportscaster Harry Carey dies. In 2001, Dale Earnhardt dies as well. That happened at the Daytona 500, if I remember correctly. Also in 2019, the U.S. states, including California and New York, brand together to sue President Donald Trump over his use of emergency powers to build the border wall. That all happened on the dates listed as I just talked about. Okay, let's talk about some celebrity birthdays going on today. Dennis D. Young turned 79. Sinead Kozak turned 78, Sybil Shepherd 76, John Travolta 72, Vanna White turned 69, Matt Dillon turned 62, Dr. Dre turned 61, and Molly Ringwald turns 58 today. So there you go. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know. The search of Nancy Guenther, mother of Today's Show anchor Savannah Guenther, has entered the third week after she vanished from her southern Arizona home. Chris Nano, sheriff of Pima County, said that early in the investigation that the Guenther family was cleared as possible suspects. He also made it clear that his department isn't backing off, promising that they won't quit until she's found. Investigators have confirmed that they collected DNA inside of Nancy's home that does not belong to her or anyone in her inner circle. Authorities also recovered gloves in the roadside field that appear to match those worn by the person captured on the doorbell camera. Despite those developments, law enforcement has not identified or named the person of interest. So there you go. Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $169 million. Here's last night's winning Mega Million numbers. Jackpot was $395 million, 337, 44, 52, 63. The Mega Ball was 14. In some other news, the U.S. Air Force is giving an executive fleet a makeover. Yes, I did say that. Yes, that includes the next generation Air Force One. Out goes the classic white with two-tone blue design that's been around since John F. Kennedy administration. It comes with a bold red, white, and dark blue and gold color scheme. It's a noticeable shift and a nod to the red, white, and blue the president previously pushed for. The one that got shelved in 2022 after concerns of darker paint could turn the aircraft into a flying easy bake oven. The updated design will be applied to the VC-25B. That's the military designation for the customized Boeing 747-8I jets that will serve next to the Air Force One fleet. These aren't your standard commercial birds. They're being outfitted with hardened communication systems, defensive tech, and all the gear needed to operate as an airborne White House. There'll just be one small problem. The program is 4 years behind schedule. Delivery is now expected in 2028. Here's one more for you. An 18-year-old an 18-year-old from Smyrna, Georgia, identified as Carter Camacho, was arrested after running towards the U.S. Capitol with a loaded shotgun yesterday afternoon. According to the U.S. Capitol Police Chief, an officer spotted him, ordered him to drop the weapon, and he immediately complied. He was taken into custody without shots fired. Police say that he had extra ammunition, a tactical vest, and gloves on him with a Kevlar helmet and gas mask that would be found inside of a parked SUV. Authorities say that no ongoing threat and no other suspects. Congress is out of session this week, and investigators say that the motive remains unclear. So there you go. So that's it. That's going to sum up our time together. Thanks for hanging out with me on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Always a good time when you and I get to hang out together. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me for the next couple hours or so. Would love for you to come and hang out over there. If you don't want to go over there and you want to stay here on Safety FM, you can hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. So here you go. Let me give you some words of wisdom today. True change begins the moment commitment sets your direction, focus aligns your energy, and consistency turns effort into identity. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.